Hi, Katie.
Hi, Jamira.
Great to meet up with you. You're a Mozart Snapshot.
Thanks, it's great to see you too. And today, we are going to see one of Salzburg's hidden gems.
Where?
It is a late Baroque or rococo villa called the Robininghof.
What does Robininghof mean?
Literally a hof or a manor belonging to the Robinig family. In earlier times, people did not actually move around so much like they do nowadays, and so it was quite common for a house to be named after its owner. For instance, the yellow house where Mozart was born was called the Hagenauer house because it belonged to Mr. Hagenauer. And the house where Mozart's sister lived for the last 28 years of her life was called the Steinhauser house because it belonged to Mr. Steinhauser.
Who are the Robinigs?
Josef Robinig, or actually Georg Josef Robinig von Rothenfeld, was an ironmonger who had a business in the Getreidegasse as well as factories outside of Salzburg. He and his wife, Maria Victoria Anesser, were members of the minor nobility and were good friends and supporters of the Mozarts.
The Mozarts had a lot of friends.
You're right, they did, because Wolfgang was definitely not one of history's more antisocial personalities. He and his family had not only a vibrant social life, but quite a comprehensive social network here in Salzburg, and Leopold actually made use of those Salzburg friends in order to build the contacts and to obtain the financial means via credits and personal loans for the family's tours across Europe.
Did the Robinigs have any children?
Yes, they had 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. And the youngest 2 children, Louisa and Georg Siegmund, were very good friends of both Wolfgang and Nanel, and therefore they came and visited quite often. And it also seems that Wolfgang had a crush on Louisa for some time.
And what about the other Robinig children?
The oldest girl, Maria Josefa, was a fair amount older than both Wolfgang and Nanel, and she actually died at the age of 24, and so they were never very close. And then as for the second daughter, Liesel, Wolfgang didn't have too positive of an opinion of her.
How do you know?
Because of some letters in which he wrote not very flattering things about her. The Robinigs, because they were such good friends of the Mozart, actually traveled to Munich with them on several occasions. One such occasion was in 1777 during carnival time for the last performances of Mozart's opera La Finta Giardiniera, which took place actually on Ash Wednesday before carnival. And it seems that Mrs. Robinig actually brought Nanel to Munich with her so that the whole families could celebrate carnival in style. And then they again accompanied them in 1781 for the premiere of Mozart's opera Idomeneo. At that time, Wolfgang wrote a letter in January of 1781 to his father, Leopold, who obviously had to stay home because he hadn't been granted permission from the Archbishop to travel to Munich. He wrote a letter saying that the premiere had been delayed for 1 week, and he was very happy that Louisa and Sigmund could stay with him during that time, but that Liesel, whom he describes as being a miserable specimen of humanity with a nasty Salzburg tongue, was driving him nuts.
Those were some harsh words.
They were, but as we know, Wolfgang often spoke his mind, and he was not always one to be diplomatic. So anyway, we are now in front of the Robininghof.
Beautiful. When was it built?
Well, the first records of a manor on this place date back to the year 1648. Before that, it was not actually possible to build here because this area of Salzburg, which is called Schallmoss, was a swamp. Moss actually means swamp or wetland. And it wasn't until the middle of the 17th century that the Archbishop Paris Lodron decided to have the swamps drained so that the land could be made usable. At that time, the house that was here then was called the Kochhof, and it belonged to the church and looked quite different. Then, in 1744, Mr. Robinig purchased the house, and he hired the architect and court gardener, Franz Anton Dannreiter, to build the Baroque facade. If you look on the relief above the door, you have St. Joseph, and above that is the coat of arms of the Robinig and the Anesser families.
And the garden?
The trees that you see surrounding the house are actually some of the very oldest in Salzburg, and some of them even predate those in the Hellbrunner Allee. and they are therefore remains of once extensive parks in this area.
Since the Robinig children were such good friends of the Mozarts, were they musical?
They were musical. Louisa was actually a keyboard pupil of Nanel and Leopold, and Sigmund was a very accomplished amateur violinist.
Did either of them become a professional musician?
They did not. Sigmund actually studied jurisprudence or law at the University of Salzburg, and it's actually believed that Mozart composed his Divertimento, K334, and the accompanying march, K445, for the occasion of Sigmund's graduation from university in July of 1781. And this Divertimento, or cessation, has therefore become known as Die Musik vom Robinig.
Did Sigmund actually play the violin part on that occasion?
No, Wolfgang played the first violin part, and the second violin part was probably played by Leopold because Wolfgang gave that second violin quite an important role in which it introduces a lot of the subsidiary motifs and themes.
Well, maybe he'll learn it later.
Possibly, although the manuscript was given to a mutual friend of the two families, the Munich violinist Johann Friedrich Eck, who apparently never returned it, and to this day, the manuscript has remained lost.
That's a shame. Anyway, thanks and see you next time. Or as we say in Slovak, do widzenia.
You are very welcome, and servus.